These school lists are ridiculous. 3 boxes of 24 count crayons, 3 boxes of 10 count markers, 3 4 count glue sticks. This is 2nd grade. How much stuff can they possibly use? And every kid's gonna bring this? Actually, I need that. Okay, here's the thing, like I'm all for helping out, and I understand that there are some kids that aren't able to get those things, but what are taxes going towards? Like, we pay a lot in that's a lot of markers. In other Hyatt news, I am getting very comfortable on the one wheel pint. I took it for about a 3-hour spin today. I had to run it for a little bit, come in, charge it up, and then took it for another one. Went for like a couple awesome trail rides, a lot of fun. I feel like I'm getting more comfortable on it. I'm starting to just like feel the motion of it and totally understand that like float feeling, because it really does feel like you're just floating on the ocean, so that's pretty rad. Okay, so let's be honest, the first person vlog didn't turn out the way I wanted it to yesterday. It was kind of dry, and the camera was like in the way of the view all the time, which was really unfortunate. I thought I had like a wider view over top of it, but I just had it angled wrong. After I've watched it a couple times, and I've watched some other ones, and I think that there's a lot that you can do right with the first person vlog and make it like really cool. And I think that the whole point of it is to create a sense of motion. And it's kind of like, I think of those rides at like Universal Studios or Kings Island where you're watching like the SpongeBob movie and the seats are rocking back and forth and you're getting that sense of actual motion there. It almost creates like a, I don't even know what the word would be, like almost like a sense of vertigo in some respects, because like you feel like you're in the middle of that motion. I think that's the key to doing a good first person anything, is to really pull the viewer in to the scene itself. And like, I'm in the mindset of this is how I vlog, this is what I'm doing today, but I think that's the wrong approach for a first person vlog. And so I guess that begs the question, well, what can you do right to make a first person video a lot more appealing, a lot more engaging? Right behind me is a really good example of this. So I think one of the flaws that I made is that, especially the way I cut it, it didn't feel like there was any like true parallax. And parallax is that effect of, you know, like the sides, the foreground, the background moving at different speeds. So I think that tip number 1 is definitely to make sure that wherever you're going, whatever you're doing, that there's a lot of foreground or, you know, sides being moved past, moved in front of, moved behind. You need a lot of different motion in all 3 realms of your video. You know, you need a foreground, you need a middle, and then you need a background, and they all need to be moving because that's how our eyes work in real life. And so rather than a real shallow depth of field or anything, since you're using, you know, maybe a GoPro, you really want to include that kind of imagery so that it feels like the audience is actually a part of that, like that's their hands. And that's tip number 2. We're all familiar with like the vlogging hands, you know, like Casey used to go reach out. Well, the reality is if you're doing a first person vlog, you really want to over exaggerate the motions. And so like when Casey was reaching out and doing that stuff, it really stuck with people because it was over exaggerated, but it made them feel like they were part of that. And so, you know, just like on a video game, a first person shooter, the hands are always out in the front. When you're doing a first person, you have to really over-exaggerate, because that's what brings the viewer into it. It's not like just robotic dead hands hanging out to the front. Every move has to be over-exaggerated to pull in that motion, and that's another thing that I didn't do. I actually was just trying to keep as still as possible because I thought it would create a more flowing image, but it didn't. It made it boring. So with regards to exaggerated movements with your hands and everything in motion, another thing you could do is use some really cool transitions, like falling on a bed, to the one wheel. I was watching the footage and it was just like, man, I missed so many opportunities. I mean, I had nerd ropes. I could have like had the nerd ropes like exaggerated going into my mouth and just, you know, nomming on them like crazy. I mean, there's so much like action and stuff that you really can capture in a different way than this, you know, looking. What am I trying to say? Who am I? Anything you can do to create that extra sense of motion is where it's going to be at in the first person shots. Even things just like squatting down, grabbing something, moving back up, you know, hopping back and forth or whatever, or just like leaning back, because your aim is to create the sense that they're there. It's like that game, it was Mirror's Ledge, where you were like a parkour runner, and it just, I don't know, it put you in a different frame of mind because you were that first person runner and you could just feel those jumps, and like that's what you want to be able to create in the first person vlog, anything first person. It's like real estate videos in a lot of ways, because in the real estate videos, what we're trying to do is create a sense of cohesiveness, that the viewer is actually in that house, understanding the flow of what goes on and how that house moves. Do you remember the GoPro jumping video that I did a while back? That little outro of me jumping off the ledge? This is where the first person would really come into play. Obviously and ideally, you're going to be using a GoPro and you just... Okay, I just thought of another great idea for the first person. Like, you need to think outside the box when you're gonna start doing something like that. So, you know, you're using the GoPro, you're going somewhere. What if I like ran to the edge of the field and jumped, and then I took the drone and just took off with it, because it's point of view too, right? So it would be like a first person flight. My camera's gonna fall off. And so then on that drone flight, you'd like come back in maybe and like just get really close to the ground and keep skimming. And then you want to take off, you know, that transition running or something. I mean, that could be a really epic transition, like a really cool shot. You know, run, jump into the air, take off, and then come back landing, running. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with all this. Maybe you can use this. I would love to see some kind of Twitter challenge. Maybe I'll start a Twitter challenge. Maybe I'll create a first person vlog challenge on Twitter where you just drop 30 seconds of the most unique first person view vlogs that you can. Just try off the wall stuff. I'm in Hyatt, that's Hyatt like the hotel, and I will see you tomorrow. I'm gonna go ride the one wheel some more.